Hello, and welcome to the next stage of the pilgrimage with race for the Diocese of El Camino Real. We are honored today to have with me um, Mary Ann Carbone, who is the mayor of San City in California, near Monterey area, and I'm Timothy G. from St. Andrews, Saratoga. And welcome. May I call you Mary Ann?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. We are so glad to have you and taking time out of your busy schedule for this interview. And Marianne is uh, part of the indigenous community in the Central Coast area, and we are delighted that she has agreed to be interviewed for this program. So, Marianne, the first question we have for you is: how long have you and your family been in this area?
I'm a lifelong resident of the Monterey Peninsula. My family has, prior to me, my great grandmother was a resident of Carmel in area off of 2nd Street. She used to have frequent visitors back in the day. They'd have pop-up events. So she'd have a Friday night dinner, which some people you may have heard about. John Steinbeck went and had dinner there, as well as other people. People from Hollywood would come up. They were interested in John Steinbeck's novels, the Tortilla Flat, with John Steinbeck as an author. And John Steinbeck wrote the book Tortilla Flat, which was a fictional book, but he used the characters in it was my great grandmother and my great aunt. And that is the house where my mother was raised by her great grandma. So they have been here in the area since probably the 1800s. So when before indigenous people were made citizens of California. So we've been here long, long time.
Well, that's fascinating. And the rest of your family, are they originally from this area or they moved up here?
They have all been raised here. I have there is a total of 13 brothers and siblings that I have. So we've all been raised in this area. They have so for 3 centuries, family has integrated with the Esalen people here. Many of us have have family members of mixed Esalen blood. And I myself am Chumash. So first, I'd like to acknowledge that the lands that we stand on here in the Monterey area, that they are lands of the first peoples, and I would like to recognize those as the Esalen lands that we inhabit, or we're guest on, that there's here in the Monterey area as well as throughout California. There are many indigenous people that have that are survivors, that are through the colonization, that are thriving, living, and are doing well in their homelands. So the lands that are occupied.
Oh, that's interesting. The Shumash tribe, where are they originally from?
They are coastal peoples, and they originated, from in the Ventura area, the Santa Barbara area, the San Ynez area, San Luis Obispo, up the coast are their homelands. And they moved up the coast, and they, as myself or my family, have moved up and inhabited the territory of the Esalen people. So I would have to say that we're guests, but there's all borders for different indigenous tribes, but our family seemed to come up here, and so we have cousins cousins, the Esalen people cousins are the Chumash people to the south. And then they have the Amamutsan people a little bit to the north of the areas of, I believe it's Moss Landing, San Juan Batista, the Amamutsan people. And the Ohlonies. So they're different territories of indigenous people along California. And we have been here, like I said, for centuries.
About when did your family migrate out from the interior area?
We traced our lineage back to quite a while back. So the 1800s in our family line, there has been some research, so people studying the migration of indigenous people. There's a scholar, Dr. John Johnson, out of the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History, and has been studying indigenous people. And so he had in the past taken DNA samples from to see how the indigenous people migrated. I finally had my DNA tested, and he was very interested in a certain marker that family line carries, and it is of the ancient Chumash people that come from off of the islands off of Santa Barbara. So there's a couple islands there where the people migrated from they came in off the islands, and they moved to the inlands, and they inhabited their first village 9 miles north of Santee Ynez. And the village was called Saltanuktu, and that is a sacred mountain. And so it's interesting to find out about how far our lineage goes back. And so there's a little disconnect we know the 1800s, but we don't know quite, because of mission records, we don't know quite the timeline, and we're still investigating that.
Tell us briefly about your life and your personal and family connection with the people in this area.
We were raised in an urban area here. My family was living down in the Big Sur area, and I told you we come from a family of 13. There was 8 boys born, and then my older sister was born. When she was born, my father said, we got to move into civilization. We have a girl now, so they moved into town. And so they got out of the wild coastal area down there in the mountains there. It sounds funny, but so they urbanized and moved to the city of Seaside, which they actually moved there pre-1954, that's when the city became a city, the city of Seaside. So we lived, there's a Roberts Lake area there. We have a couple lakes in the city of Seaside, and that's where we resided. So we still were kind of, in a woodsy place where they picked for us to grow up. My family were, as any indigenous people, they are hunters and gatherers and fishers. And so we were raised on off of game. So we were raised a little bit still like kind of up in the mountains. I remember when I started school, discovering what by going to a schoolmate's house after school, what a can of beans was. So chili beans, and which I thought was the greatest invention. We never had anything like that. Everything was homemade. So we grew up still on traditional foods, rabbits. We've had uh, cattail, the pollen from cattails. We just grew up kind of the family through foraging, mushrooms, seafood, and that was the way of life, which is still continued. The family still fish, they still hunt, and yeah, we go to the grocery store and that. But yeah, things are, we're still kind of live by the same way that my parents raised us as growing up. We did go to public schools in Seaside, and I believe afterwards in the to Monterey High School. Most of my family, we went to school. Most of us ended up working in the trades. So the building community, as well as myself, I worked for 25 years as a commercial in the laborers union. So we were either laborers or carpenters.
What was your experience as a member of the indigenous group with coming into town and the makeup of the students in the public schools?
When I was born, it was the year that the city of Seaside was incorporated, but we did live in a secluded area in the lake area, and we were pretty much, we went to school, but we went to school and we went home. Our best friends would be our family, our siblings, because we were secluded, and just amongst the family in our setting, we were very quiet and shy when we went to school. It was an experience to go to school, to get to interact, or learn amongst other people.
The kids that made up the school, was the community fairly diverse?
I think mostly white students. Fort Ord probably was going there, so we did have some mixed, some diversity.
You said your family pretty much stayed in the community and so on. And when they were settling and when you were young and so on, and they how what was their interaction with the community, or they did not interact much with the community outside of your farm or your ranch area?
I had 9 brothers, and the brothers, they hunted and they fished, and they were the most gorgeous looking guys ever. The women would chase them around, and but our family, they were known for getting in fights, and when you hear about Native American or people or indigenous people on alcohol, they would drink and they'd get in fights. So they had a bit of a name here on the peninsula as the Chione family. You could have 9 brothers and they could get in a little mishaps or whatever, but their reputation exceeds, the name. That it is something that kind of bugs me a little bit, because it seems like the family was picked on a lot more through, we talk about racism. I felt it here on the peninsula, along with my family for many years. And we were the poorest of the poor, resulting to this day, being afraid of saying who your identity is. I'm a mayor. It's weird, even no matter how much good you do in a community, just that the racism and being afraid to speak freely or to say who you are, that a feeling that you're never good enough in a community due to racism. Going out to dine and for people not wanting to wait on you. So it's really weird.
Even
Uh,
to this day.
even to this day, even to this day, I'm talking, this is this week.
What was your parents and your grandparents' experience? Was it less so because they stayed in their community, or?
Growing up, we didn't focus on color of a person's skin. We were from a poor community. We shared community culture with friends of many colors. Back in the day, kids, when they played Cowboy and Indians, and no one wanted to be the Indian. You never saw a Western that didn't degrade Native people or mock them, ever. Growing up Native, we were always being observed out of the corner of someone's eye. You always felt that. Like I said, I'm from a family of 13 children. I remember at a young age, um, at a picnic on the Carmel River, a beautiful sunny day with the Alvarado family. They were also Native people. Um, my mother's Native, my dad's European. And my dad I'll say it, he had too much to drink and having fun there, great day, kids playing in the river. And he told my mom to pack up her no good redskin Indians and get the hell out of here. So even I would say that there was even racism within the family. So family members with a mixed, even with my dad, my mother, she experienced it as well. Um, and once she told me, she said, she sat me and my sisters down and she said, when we were little, and she said, you're going to probably fall in love with somebody, go out and meet somebody, fall in love or go to meet this person's parents, and they're going to say, oh, she's one of them Indians. And, so um, we we just felt racism for many years here on the, growing up. My husband went to visit my daughter this past Christmas, and he was on his way home and he heard two people on the plane talking in the background, who were employees of a attorney friend of mine, and they were talking about the Monterey area and, oh, this one family and these crazy Indians. And my husband confronted them, and he said, that's my wife and his family, and they were shocked. And so racism, I mean, it's here. Last year, there were some younger children who attended Indigenous Day in Sand City, and they danced the first time ever. Those children we do regular song and dance practices to keep the culture going with the children. That's my job, is to teach and to keep these traditions and the culture going. And I had two kids, two little ones, who came out and they went and got regalias on. They had somebody put on their a regalia. They have never danced before, never sang before, never experienced that before. And they got out there and danced, and they were so proud to dance and to be there that I can't believe seeing these kids there. I was thinking, is that little Mikey? And those kids were so proud to be there and to participate, that that it was just beautiful. I think that with love and education, that we're going to conquer racism. And these were Filipino this Filipino mix blood, but the one boy is such a leader that he got up and he asked to sing a song solo in front of this crowd. And it was unbelievable how the spirit came through that young man.
Your answer just sparked a question. What is your leadership role in your tribe or in the community?
As far as what I am a carrier of medicines, and I have been given the authority by some of the different tribes as a representative and spokesperson to here on the Monterey area.
I think you pretty much touched on it, but how did how do you relate to the terms Indian, Native American, and Indigenous?
So you left out First People.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Well, those are all, they're all kind of under one meaning, but the First People of the land is one that I prefer. You have those are, not to be too picky. I'm sure, you know, you have Indian, you have squaw, these different names given um, uh, by, predated Columbus when Indians were, when they, I don't know, Indians, they thought they were from India, or that someone thought they landed in India, and therefore the word Indians came out. Just the name, it's people of the land, really. So people of the land is preferably the word that would, the word squaw, that there was another name that still you hear squaw. And where did that name come from? Squaw, meaning a female indigenous person, or female Indian, or female. That was another name. And then that name came from squat, female. They squat down to give birth or to use the bathroom. That was another name that was a white, came from white. The white people was squaw, squat. So that was just another titled name given. And it is actually the First Peoples, or indigenous people of the land. And indigenous people come from different areas. So like I said, here in this area, the people of the land here would be the Esalen people that we would recognize as standing in this territory.
What's your reaction on the use of Native American as a way to describe?
Uh, I kind of think that's okay. I think that's okay too, as well. I'm not, I'm not being trying to be picky or anything, but Native American.
Do you think your parents and grandparents, their view on using these terms to describe your people, do you think their views are different as to how they react to hearing those terms?
Well, none of them are alive today. But back in the day, you didn't say that you didn't want to be, from what I hear, is you did not want to be known that you were Native American or indigenous, because back then, there was a bounty on your head for people, so you hid your identity. They wanted to eradicate, the government wanted to separate in the indigenous people. They would take the children from the home and send them to a boarding school. and I have a cousin where this has happened to. That was the way of weakening the family system, of the indigenous people. That's why it's very important to me and to others who are trying to bring back the culture and bring back the language and bring that back to the next generations. I don't know, we're 1% maybe in the population or the census. We're a very small number, you know, as a community person and as a young elder. It's important for me uh, to teach or to um, pass on and educate family members as well as others on so family members on the language, relearning their language, relearning their culture. And it's okay not to hide anymore. It's okay to be proud. And it's okay. It's good to reconnect with your heritage and your other side of your indigenous side. We still all believe in creator God. We honor where we live. We honor the earth. We respect the earth. We all live, even though we're indigenous, people all live together. We're all maybe different colors, but we all bleed the same color.
It's a great segue to my last question, actually. In what ways have you found the church to be a source of strength or a source of challenge as it relates to your culture?
The Chumash or believe in good and bad, good and evil. The Chumash are very close to Christianity. We're gentle people. We are good people. We try and do what's right. There has been many injustices uh, prior. We are Catholic. What's happened with in mission life, which would probably be a whole nother talk. I know a lot of people who do good in all religions. I like being around good people.
One of the questions that it's always been in the back of my mind is, and my involvement with the national church is with the Navajo land, so on, is the balance, especially you being a spiritual leader in your tribe, the balance between holding true to that, and yet, as you said, you're Catholic, Roman Catholic. So the balance between the two.
It's like living in two worlds. It's being balanced the whole time, to walk in balance. It's like going through one door. I may be in this community here, but I may have to step through a door and I'm in the indigenous community. And that is where I need to reground myself back to my heart, not to something that I mean, I love what I do in the community, but back to my roots.
Mary Ann, thank you so much for your time and what you've said and your story. It's very powerful, and we really appreciate you sharing it with us.
You're welcome, and thank you for the opportunity. I kind of went by heartfelt.
And we felt it. We truly felt it. And thank you.
Thank you.